Hey, Assalamu alaikum. Today we're going to make homemade pretzels. Let's start off with all the ingredients we're going to be needing first, okay? We're going to need 1 1/4 cups of warm water, 1 tablespoon plus 1/4 teaspoon of yeast. We're also going to need 1 teaspoon to activate that yeast. We're going to need 3 3 3/4 cups of flour. We're going to need 3/4 cups plus 2 tablespoons of powdered sugar. We're also going to need 1 1/2 teaspoons of salt, 2 teaspoons of vegetable oil. We're also going to need a little bit of extra flour, and that's just for kneading purposes. Now let's talk about the pretzel batter. We're going to need about 1 1/4 cups of baking soda and about 4 cups of water for that pretzel batter. And then let's do the topping. For the topping, you're going to need some kind of spray. I use the Crisco non-stick spray. You're going to need, I believe it's 4 tablespoons or 1/4 cup of butter. You need about 2 teaspoons of cinnamon and 1 1/2 cups of sugar, and that's if you're going to make the cinnamon pretzels. If you're going to make kosher pretzels, salt pretzels, you're just going to need the kosher salt or pretzel salt. Okay, so let's get started, and first off we're going to activate the yeast. So we'll come back right now and I'll show you how to do that. Now we're going to, what are we doing? This is not my day, I swear. Start that over! Okay, now we're going to get the yeast ready. First we're going to start off with a 1/2 cup of water. Make sure it's warm water. You don't want cold water, and you don't want boiling water. Boiling water will kill your yeast, and cold water, it just won't work. We're going to need a full teaspoon of honey, and this is a 1/2 teaspoon measure, so I'm going to go in there twice. Okay. And you're going to take that yeast and you're going to sprinkle it on top. Using a wire whisk or a fork, we're going to whisk that in very well. And now that you have it in there, you're going to go ahead and set it aside and give it about 10 minutes. And we'll come back and we'll get started. Okay, here I have the flour. Now we're going to add the salt. And you want to mix that salt in very well. You don't want it coming into direct contact with your yeast, because it can actually kill your yeast. Now we're going to mix in the powdered sugar. Mix that in very well. And as you can see, the yeast has really fluffed up, and to me that's due to the honey. I really like the effects that the honey gives when you add it to the yeast and the water. I'm going to make a little well in the middle of our flour, and we're going to add that yeast mixture. You're also going to add the rest of the water. It should be roughly 3/4 cup. And we're going to add those 2 teaspoons of vegetable oil. And we're going to mix that in together. I'm just using a spoon. You don't really need to use a mixer for this. Now once we have all that mixed in, we're going to go ahead and lightly flour our working surface. And we're going to get this dough. Oops. Ooh. I didn't quite mix in what was at the bottom. Mistakes happen. Okay, now we're going to need this for roughly about 5 minutes until we get a nice uniform ball. And we'll come back halfway through and I'll show you, and then we'll come back again and we'll continue. So we've been kneading this for about 2 minutes. We're going to knead it for another 2 to 3 minutes, and I'll show you what it looks like as soon as we're finished doing that. Okay, so we'll be back. Okay, now we've been kneading this about 5 minutes. I usually knead it probably about 7 minutes or so. You get this nice soft dough looking ball. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to take our bowl. We're going to coat it with the spray, or you can use some more of the oil. And coat that dough. Make sure you get the dough all fully coated. With a clean rag, cover it up. You can use saran wrap also. I'm going to set this someplace warm, and we're going to let this rise for 45 minutes, and once it's risen we'll come back and we'll continue and we'll finish making these pretzels. Okay, now we're going to do the water bath, and for that we need 4 cups of water, hot water, not too hot because you need to be able to get your hands in there. And that's 4. And now we're going to take that baking soda and we're going to slowly mix it in. And it's going to bubble a little bit, so just keep stirring it in. I'm going to make sure that baking soda dissolves properly. Now I'm going to continue mixing this until I get all the baking soda dissolved, and then we'll come back and we'll move on.